Often flipping through the tape come across gadgets that surprise. But before you spend money on them, doubts arise, will they actually work like that? Or is it just TikTok marketing? I bought them all and now we will check. First is a gadget, which in theory can repair cracked plastic. These are the kind of metal clips kinda looks working. That at the slightest effort the plastic will burst back. So there is such a case type of cool tool, and this turns out to be a whole set. They come in different shapes, and the gun itself is weighty like that. Something looks like a trolley bus or some kind of blaster to me. Among all the junk, I have a cracked container. I was very sorry to throw her out, and if this gun can repair her, it will cost a quarter of its value. The staple needs to be inserted into those horns. And how to implant in plastic. Pre-pulling the crack spot. The main thing will not melt through. By kinda. Holes. And now you need to cut the sticking antennae. Very scary. That crack that's about to burst. And so they don't scratch a little, grind them off. Surface kinda repaired, but the crack is not sealed yet. So we put on this kind of spatula and a little bit melt the gap. Exactly also on the other hand. I hope it does not crack again and will not leak. Gaining water. Like until the leaks are visible, and show himself withstands the load. We were able to repair it. Breakdown from wood can be glued, from metal brew, and it turns out you can repair a plastic product. Second thing isn't really credible either. This is such a button working on Bluetooth, promising turns any device. Where is the control body? Which need to press? Too smart. But in the video you can see straight that easily pressed buttons are selected. Something tight he is unlikely to master. So there is still such tape for fixing. And the battery cube works. Need to download the app. Lever drives. Let's test it on here's this button. In the application, you can adjust the percentage of lowering that the cube doesn't break itself out. Stick. Kinda works. Usually I don't reach for that no still button, so let it be. But the buttons are different. You can adjust the time of lowering to the cube kind of clamps the button. Then we started testing it on everything in a row. Good stuff, but the real application to her rather for hard to reach buttons. Third contender is these kind of hand warmers. Battery powered. Seems to be nothing suspicious. But heating is the most energy-intensive process, and I do not believe that a battery can fit in such a case. Able to warm hands for a long time, there's definitely a catch somewhere. Everything comes in decent packaging. Where to haves lie at once. And it turns out that each of them needs to be charged separately. See how many connectors there are. We charged them, and the first thing decided to test the function of the overbank. Works, but at a certain point, you need to poke the wire to the other half, because the energy runs out fast. Now turn on the heating. Choose power. Yes, immediately feel the warmth, but it's summer outside now, and we want to test them in real conditions. So I decided to do this in the only place where it's cold now. in a big freezer. Need to dress really for winter, because the temperature there reaches -15. Close! Freezer already was found! And in the beginning, I didn't feel any cold in either hand, neither in the body. It's pretty cramped here. 15 minutes later, I'm tired of just lying like that, and I decided to play a couple games of chess. And even more interesting, you can pass the time on APX. This is a website with all the familiar mini games. For example, Plinka. Where do you run a pinball-type ball? Enter the amount, and depending on which basket will fall, such a result. Or everyone's favorite crash, where you need to guess how high the schedule will rise. Guess took so many X. And also an interesting game in Miner. Here you need to guess where the bombs are planted. An interesting mechanics, but I still like Crash the most. She is on agility and intuition. Need to really anticipate, but do not flirt because you can lose. There are still a bunch of games on the site. Convenient input and output. And if you want to play for free, in Telegram bot you can get bonuses for anything, from subscription to clicks. So also everyday Dribs cashback. Link in pinned comment. And according to the promotional code, you will receive a 30% bonus. Half an hour later, my hands began to freeze. I turned on the heaters. In theory, they are designed for that, to help the body generate quite a bit of heat. And clothes will keep it. But at first, I didn't even want to put my hands in my pocket. Then removed. And sat like this for an hour. Already started freezing lips and nose. And I turned on the heating pads to the minimum because hands were already sweating. Experiment decided to end because of that. I already have everything numb, so lie. And in this video, the Chinese promise, we add a regular vacuum cleaner function, like the new Dazens, laser dust lighting, to see where clean, and where else is not. I do not think that for $2 it will work like that. Oh, what cheap plastic. By the way, the seller put a battery in the package, very similar to the original, but in fact it is no laser, but just in lead with a plastic lens. There was even double-sided duct tape stick, and there is a special button, so you can turn on your foot. Yeah. Despite that the room lights on, dust is visible and clearly visible boundary. We vacuumed everything, and honestly, from the whole video, I was least hoping for this gadget. But in price to quality, it's probably the most profitable product. Moving on. Automatic curtains have become popular, but they need special ones. Cornices with temporary mechanism. There is no way to automate them on the regular. So here I somehow came across promising to automate such curtains. And it should be attached right on top of the cheapest cornice. Printing the box. There's a bunch of waste paper in it. And the motor itself has wheels, hooks, and leading. Include. But it will not work until we set everything up. Imagine that this is a cornice. Need to attach the device. Start the engine. And adjust the extreme points so he doesn't fall. But in the case of curtains, it's their opening and closing boundaries. And now they can really be closed, not getting out of bed. By the way, there was still a whole chain of hooks in the kit. This is a HYIP Gadget leaf. Well, and last, once I came across a video about sharpening the knife to razor sharpness with a very simple machine. I love when knives are sharp, but to such an extent to observe all angles. This needs accuracy. Can this Chinese machine like this? Pulling it out of the box, and inside it goes in disassembled form. It's not a problem, but you could put instructions. Some shoppers, I'll figure out what's what. With this screw, you need to press the main element to the table. And already the rest of the spare parts are attached to it. Leaves the wall, which sets the angle of sharpening. Then you need to screw the grips holding the blades. Try to sharpen this knife. He has been blunted for a long time and badly. Doesn't even cut paper, and on the blade you can see right ruts. With the machine, go for abrasives of different gritty. Before work, they need to be soaked in water. Main element. That's a spoke moving along one and the same line. Stones are clamped into it from two sides at once, and the spoke moves, not letting change the angle of sharpening. You need to walk all for stones. The more credit, the sharper the blade will turn out. The process is certainly long, but sticky. Let's check how sharp the knife turned out. He was never like that. Despite its cheapness, machine copes with the task, and basically all the gadgets in the video justified themselves. Well, for the next videos, I already ordered that. Here waiting until they come everyone by.